Hi, I'm Rhonda Masad, and I am here. I am from the West Island blog, but my guest today is also a West Island blog reporter. Thank you, Dario, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
This is something that is important to a lot of us out there, probably worldwide, I would guess. I wanted to talk to you today specifically about your experiences going back to school as a high school student. You're in grade 11, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's prom year for you, it's COVID year for you, and you are in a bubble class. And I would like to run through what that feels like for you, what's happening from your perspective. I don't want you to have any concerns. Nobody's expecting you to have an official expert opinion. As a student, what are you living? You are going to a school on the West Island. We're going to leave the name of the school out of it intentionally. So start. How did you feel going back that first day?
Well, definitely going back, we saw the end of last year. So that would be my grade 10 year, finishing, of course, at home with non-mandatory school taking place on Zoom as it was just beginning here in Quebec. And going into this year, of course, it was a bit nervous. I felt going in because there were so many changes, and it was probably one of the bigger gatherings that I would have been to since the start of COVID, being in a large school with a lot of kids that I hadn't seen since the start of COVID. Of course, people outside of my immediate friend group. And so the bubble process, how that works is your classroom is your bubble. So the group of students that you're in class with every single day, 5 days a week, that's your bubble. So in class, as of now, masks are not mandatory while the students are sitting down in the classroom. But when
Let me,
they,
let me just clarify to anybody who's tuning in, we are in the month of October, early October.
yeah, exactly. So October, about a month and a bit since school has been going on. So masks not mandatory in the classroom, but when you're moving around the building, they do become mandatory. You have to put those on. But a different thing, in my experience, my classes, all students, almost all, have chosen to keep their mask on during the class session. So that's almost all day. They've chosen personally, not obligated, to keep their mask on. So I thought that was really interesting to see. And personally, I'm in agreement with it. I keep my mask on during the day just because that's how I'm more comfortable. And from what I'm seeing, it's a lot of students, not all, but how a lot are feeling more comfortable keeping on their mask throughout the day.
Okay, I know I've driven by some schools and things like that, and a lot of kids are not wearing anything.
Yeah, so you see a bit of a difference after school and during lunch. A lot of students are going outside, and the school has put in a lot of measures. I think they've done a lot. They're constantly reinforcing the measures, reminding the students there's arrows on the floor, installation of hand sanitizer dispensers throughout the building. But what you have to remember is it's a high school, it's teenagers. They're not going to respect the rules. It's not being respected perfectly. Of course, it's kids, but so that leaves room for the virus to spread, of course. So kids are not following it perfectly. I'm not saying everyone, but at least some kids, they'll remove the mask at lunchtime outside to talk with friends. And it's just something that we've been doing for so long, so it's a hard habit to break. And that's where I see that there could be a potential spread of the virus during schools, is when kids do take off their mask or get a bit too close between one another. Of course, the measures are in place, but respecting them is a whole different game. So that's why I fear a bit of there could be spread of COVID in the schools. Of course, just from that.
How is your teacher handling it? How does your teacher conduct her class this way? Is she masked up, or is there a I always thought like plexiglass the front of the classroom, and let the teachers be behind that plexiglass and let them be free to express and move around. So basically, in my mind, plexiglass the front of the room.
So
Is
there's no,
that
as
how they do it?
Sorry, there's no plexiglass in the classrooms. Again, in my opinion, I haven't seen any. How it works, so the teacher will have the mask on throughout the class. And if they do have to navigate between the desks, so they have to go see a student directly, whether that be to give something out or to help, they are trying to do that the least as possible, we've seen, but they will put on the face shield. So the visor with the mask if they do have to leave their 2 meter bubble, because their desk and their teaching space is 2 meters apart from the students.
Is that cordoned off with the tape so that you understand? Like I
Exactly.
forget. I'm going around Adonis and there's arrows on the floor and I just
Yeah,
get lost in my head. I forget.
there is tape on the floor that does indicate that. And again, it's a learning experience for everyone. They're really trying hard to still make it, it's school, so it's fun, but it's hard to follow the measures. And with me, as of now, I'm currently doing alternating, so one day at school, one day at online learning. And that's also a whole new experience, learning and being taught from online through Zoom. And that too, there's a lot of effort going into it. It's nothing perfect. During a normal time, I would never tell you I prefer to be online than in person. But I
Do you
think
find is your learning suffering because of this?
through the online, I mean, the learning, I think that the teachers are doing a good job getting the information across. It's more, I think it's okay. Personally, for me, I've been okay with the online. It's more the social aspect between just talking to the teachers in person and talking to my friends in person that's more been suffering. I find, in my opinion, the learning through online has been okay. Of course, I don't prefer it than in person, but during this time, during Code Red here in Montreal, I think that the safest way to learn is online at this time with COVID-19 in Montreal.
I would like to, this is what I've been feeling. I'm a parent of a university student and he's had trouble because there's hundreds of kids online and it's a Zoom meeting and his learning is suffering. He has very little access to the teachers as you do in university anyway, but he can't get a hold of them to ask a question. There's hundreds of kids that need to ask questions. It's almost impossible. He spends he will request a question from the teacher and 3 weeks later the teacher will answer and the assignment is well done by that point. So he is having trouble like with anything where he runs into confusion or if he needs a clarification, that's where he suffers. I guess it remains to be seen how his grades are gonna go. It's his second semester. He did do online last semester. The other part I find is the social. He can't get out. We can't get out. And there's the other part with kids where is somebody in your bubble at school has COVID, you're not necessarily required to stay home. And university, that's now take DJ out of it. University, you're completely online. But you, if one of your bubble gets infected or tested, what happens?
So if someone in my immediate bubble, that being my class students, the teacher is separate, then the entire class will be sent home. So the classroom where the COVID infected student will be sent home and learning will be moved to online. So far that's been done in my particular school one time as of today. So there is a class that is currently as they are calling it, shut down and moved online because there was a COVID case in that classroom.
I know one of the West Island schools, we again won't be mentioning names, but somebody did a slip up and there was twins from the same house separated into two grade 11 classes.
Mhm.
There's a twin from each. So if those twins are infected, why not put the twins in the same bubble? Because you basically have one bubble at this point.
Yeah, I see that. And even if you think of, let's say, someone in another classroom is bubbled with someone who is best friends, but that best friend is not in the same bubble, why is it less likely that he could have COVID than someone in the person who's infected's bubble? So
I think there's a lot of caveats that we have with this
yeah.
whole level red. I don't think it's perfect. I think that the premier is doing the best he can, and I really appreciate his efforts. I mean, I can't imagine being elected at this time, but like I can't see my grandchildren, but I can see my hairdresser.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit, there are, I'm not, I'm going to get through my 28 days. We're going to do it, but it's not really logical across the board. I think they're trying things, and I think they have to try.
And I wanted to mention with the online aspect. So if a student or a family would think that doing school online 100% of the time is something they'd be interested in, you currently do need a doctor's authorization. So you have to have a medical condition to be eligible for online schooling full time as of right now. Personally, I think that there should be a bit more flexibility with that.
I
Of not, if you're not personally comfortable going into a school or having your child go into a school 5 days a week, there should be some kind of option for you, not making you forced to send your child, even if you don't have a medical condition.
I think that's for me, that's one of the things that's causing anxiety to a lot of parents and a lot of teachers and so on. I think the plexiglass wall for the teachers would help me if I was a teacher. I'd feel good about that. But as far as the kids go, one day I'm good, one day I'm not good. One day I'm emotional about it, I'm anxiety ridden. The next day I'm like, okay. So I think across the board, if we opened up online optional, just let people do what they can cope with that day. Like, let the people use their judgment. If you want to go online, like you've had days that I know that you've been more anxious than others.
Mhm.
Let me
Definitely.
choose. Let me choose for myself what I can do. Make online learning just one of those things that all the schools have to do, and that's the end of it. Every time they go to a class, they click the button. Everybody's online. Those are online. Those that aren't online. This way, if you run into a problem, you can go into school the next day and maybe ask the teacher that day.
But
I think. Go ahead.
even personally, I think that we're at the highest alert level right now in Montreal, code red. I think that would mean that the school should be turned online while we're in this peak period. At least I hope it's the peak period of the virus. Because I think that as much as it is difficult for some students I know to learn online, with the current situation, I think that personally that would be the safest option during this red zone to move the school online.
But we can agree that the premier, and he stated it a few times, his whole goal right now is to keep the schools open.
Mhm.
So maybe it would be a good thing if those, like I said, or like you've been saying, is that we have optional online at all times.
Mhm.
And that would relieve the system of those of us that are anxious. So we stay home. So there's less kids in the school. It's just making it a little bit different. And I think elementary, that's a whole debate because I know my grandchildren, they won't stick online. Are you kidding? All day? No way. They
Yeah,
won't go to school all day.
it's true because I'm speaking about me. I'm in grade 11. So, of course, students are able to navigate technology fairly well. But I can see that elementary students, younger kids, it could definitely be a challenge if them being them by themselves on a computer, it could be very difficult. And parents, of course, have to work and do their own thing.
There's so many elements. There's so many elements. There's so many layers of this, and everybody's home is different, and everybody's challenges are different. You've got parents that are working that need the schools. So I love the idea of optional for everybody, online everything. If I want to sit with my grandson and there's a film going on about what he's learning in school, then so be it. Like for high school, maybe high school, same deal. Like I said, you'd have less people in the classrooms if you had options.
Yeah, that's true. It would be, and those that are really not comfortable with technology could have the option, of course, of going in school because they would be a both
Yeah,
reality. But
I think that would be an amicable solution to all, but I agree, we are in code red, and but we're in code red for the students, I believe. Like, I mean, yes,
yeah.
it's right. We all knew there was going to be a second wave. We prayed there wouldn't be, but there is.
Mhm.
And I think the premier is trying desperately to keep them open so that they have that socialization.
Mhm. Definitely. I just see it as it's for me because I'm being forced to go in person. It's a bit stressful at times being in a big crowd. And if you think of it right now with the current regulations in place, Code Red, I'm allowed to see my friends at school, my friends that are in my bubble, but not at home because no gatherings are permitted inside your home or outside. So it's a bit confusing to me with the code red and everything. So I'm just not sure what really is the safest option. Of course, not only for me, but my family. It would be the worst thing to bring the virus home uh,
to them.
to my family. Yeah.
That's the way DJ felt as well, and he was tested, and it took him 6 days, still no answer for what he was tested, and he's been up in his room for 6 days. And to be honest with you, he's missed 6 days, and he only did the test as a precautionary measure. He never thought he was exposed, but he was trying to be a gentleman about this and do the right thing. So he's doing the right thing. He can't get a result back. The
Okay.
result is taken because he's not a high priority. The result is now 6 days. We don't have a result. So he's missed work. He's thankfully not missing school, but he can't leave the house at all or his room at all. And that's like, it's 6 days. Like, it's not the fault of the testing clinics because everything's backed up. But in the meantime, he's just wasted 6 days of work and school.
Yeah.
So it's a mess we're living in. It's not great time for students to try and figure this out. I think compulsory optional online
Mm.
is you would be the fairest thing. Let people choose. We are in a democratic environment. Let people choose how they want to learn right now.
Yeah.
This is new for everybody.
I definitely agree with the mandatory online, because that will be I find it difficult working from home, and having something be mandatory, forcing you to go, is definitely something that would encourage me to keep going online, even if it's my house.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's not easy to sit yourself down and root yourself from 9 to 4 or whatever it is that you have to do. It's not easy. So
Yeah.
I wish all of you students out there the best of luck, the best wishes in the next 28 days, and hopefully not more, but we never know. So hopefully we'll touch base again. I
Yeah.
miss
Yes.
our
For
traffic
sure.
report.
I'll
I miss our traffic reports.
yeah, I'll let you know how it goes in school, as we are right now, and yeah, hopefully we'll be back to normal very soon.
Hopefully. Have a great rest of your day, Dario.
Thank you. You too, Rhonda.
Thank you.